Okay, this one's very similar to the last video, but notice there are two complex expressions in the one in the numerator, one in the denominator. But remember, it's the denominator that we have to rationalize. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and denominator by the denominator conjugate. So remember, when you multiply by the conjugate in the denominator, it's just the first times the first, put a subtract sign, then the second times the second. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So we multiplied 10 times 10, the first times the first, put a subtract sign, and then the second times the second. So 4i times 4i. In the numerator, all I did was go ahead and show that these are going to be two binomials that we're going to multiply. Some of you like the FOIL method. I like thinking about it as the distributive, because the FOIL method only works when there are binomials. All other polynomial multiplication, the FOIL method does not work. So, and notice this is the FOIL method that I showed here. We have the first times the first, so negative 5 times 10. Notice I'm just doing the distributive also. Negative 5 times this whole thing, and then 3i times this whole thing. So here's your first, and then here are your outers of the FOIL. So negative 5 times negative 4i, and then the inside, so 3i times 10 plus 3i times negative 4i. And then down below, I just multiplied, the first times the first, the second times the second, with a subtract sign. 10 times 10 is 100. And with the subtract sign, and then 4i times 4i is 16i squared. Remember, I squared is equal to negative 1. So when we multiply all this stuff out, negative 5 times 10 is negative 50. Negative 5 times negative 4i is positive 20i. 3i times 10 is positive 30i. Oh, look at like terms. We can add those two together. And then 3i times negative 4i is negative 12i squared, but I squared is negative 1. So negative times a negative is a positive. Down below, I squared is negative 1. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we have negative 50. That's still negative 50. 20i plus 30i is 50i. Negative times negative, that's going to become a positive. Then we're going to have negative 50 plus positive 12. And then 100 plus 16 is 116. Negative 50 plus 12 is negative 38. Well, what do these three terms all have in common? They're all three even, so we're going to divide each term by 2. We're going to factor out a 2. Negative 38 divided by 2 is negative 19. 50i divided by 2 is 25i. 116 divided by 2 is 58. And that's it.